Hey guys, it's Gail with PopCulture.com, and we are here with the legendary Tracy Lawrence. Tracy, thanks so much for stopping by.
Good morning. So good to see you again.
So good to see you, and we have so many things to talk about, because there's a lot going on right now.
Absolutely.
So let's start with what Justin Moore just announced. You guys are going on tour together.
We are. We kick things off, I think, the middle of January in 2020. 3 to 4 months somewhere in there. We may even add some more shows, so I'm really excited about it. Justin and I have become friends over the last several years, and I think this is going to be real good. We've got a real similar background, and I think we should have a lot of fun together.
And he said, when he was talking about it, one of the things that he said that stuck out to me is that you've been an inspiration for his whole career. You had 18 #1 singles.
I did. Yeah, you know, and there's a lot of confusion about that too. What people don't realize, if you're outside of the industry, you don't realize that there was Billboard and R&R. And several years ago, Billboard bought R&R. But back in the day, in the 90s, when we were having hit records, Billboard had certain things that went #1. Sometimes they went #1 on R&R. Sometimes they didn't go #1 on Billboard, or vice versa. But when they merged, you think all of it would show up as just the one calculation, but it does not. So I still have radio stations saying, oh, you had 8 #1s or what, but I count them all. If they went #1 on a chart, I count them.
They went #1.
They went #1.
And you and Justin, I think, collaborated on some things, didn't you?
He was on the Good Old Days album, which was my last project. We actually sang Alibis together.
Wow.
So it was a real fun record. Got to hang out in the studio, and he told me one of the coolest things, and I don't want to embarrass him by this statement, but I've never had anybody tell me this before, but I grew up in Arkansas, and so did he. So he told me, he said, man, when I was growing up, you were my Elvis. It's a little weird, bro.
But he did say, like, he really said a lot of complimentary things about you.
Yeah.
So whose idea was it?
They approached us about it, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But we've kind of danced around the conversation over the last few years. He's actually the last time I played, I think I played at the amphitheater on the riverfront in Little Rock a few months back, and he actually came out and saw the show. So we've been kind of working toward this direction for a while.
You guys have really similar music. Can we come?
Absolutely.
We're
Be
going.
honored. Be
okay.
Great.
So we also have another big thing to talk about. Made in America, new album. Tell us all about it.
Made in America will drop August the 15th. Title track is really the first Americana song that I've ever done. It's one of the last pieces that was written for the record. I really had another working title in mind for it before I got to that, and when Rick Huckabee and Adam Sanders and I got together, I had this idea. I really wanted to write something that was very positive, very American, very proud to be where you come from, proud of the things that you make, proud of what you do with your hands. I wanted it to have that feel to it. And I didn't want it to be political at all. I wanted it to be really removed from that, just to go back to being proud of being an American. And I think we achieved that. We've been opening up the show with this particular track, and it's amazing to see people sing the words back to you the second time the chorus comes around. They're connecting with it so quickly. From top to bottom, it's really a very traditional country record. I was very conscious of not overlapping any of the things that I've done in the past, so I think you'll find it all very fresh, but still very traditional and very much in the parameters, 90% of what you would expect from me, but still fresh at the same time.
It's interesting to me that you just said you didn't want it to be political.
Yes.
Because?
You know, I have very strong political opinions, as do most people in the country right now, but outside of the political arena, that's not what I do. It's not my job. And I have found myself getting turned off by celebrities and actors and musicians and people that get up on their platform and wave their hands. And I want to see them for the art that they create, and I don't really want to hear their political opinions, because it's turned me off onto some people that I used to respect, and I don't want to be that guy.
Okay. I'm remembering we spoke at CRS a couple years ago, and I feel like you said you may consider dabbling in politics at some point.
I did at one point. There was a point in the late 2000s where I had a dear friend of mine that was in the House of Representatives back in Arkansas, and he was getting ready to retire, and I had a lot of people that were courting me to go back in and try to fill that seat. And that would have meant me moving back to that district in Arkansas. My wife and I actually went and did some house shopping there. And as I got closer and closer to it, I just realized that that wasn't where my heart was.
It's in music still.
It's in music still, and it always has been.
30 years ago, is when you started releasing songs.
Yes.
Could you have imagined 30 years ago that you would still be where you are now?
I did, because I've always seen myself, if I got my foot in the door, as being a lifer in this business. You know, I see myself as being like George and like Haggard and like Cash and like those guys that did it all the way up to the very end of their life. I can't imagine what my life would be like if I stopped. You know, I still, to this day, after, 30 years professionally in the business, I still like going and getting on the bus on the weekends. I still like hearing the walk-on music when the band fires up. I still like it.
Not tired of it yet.
I have burnout points. Usually by the time we get to the end of fair and festival season, I'm ready for a little break. And so I've learned over the years, when we're laying the schedule out, I know where my burn points are, and I'll block a week to go take a trip with the family or do whatever. And I've built those things in, and I'm pretty adamant about holding on to them through a lot of situations, no matter how much money they throw at me, because I need those spots through the year. And I don't work over the holidays. At Christmas, my big kind of cap for the end of the year, I finish up with a turkey fry here in Nashville and the charity work that I do. I'll work through the first 2 weekends of December, and then I am done. I don't go back out till January.
Awesome. Yeah. Justin is one of just several artists who cite you as an inspiration. What would you say to these young artists who say, I want a career like Tracy Lawrence?
I was very blessed, because compared to most people, I really did have kind of an overnight success. I came to Nashville in September of 1990. Didn't know anybody when I got here. Started playing on any place that I could get on stage. Wound up at a little supper club over in Kentucky. So from the time I got to Nashville, I was discovered in December of that year. I did my first showcase the end of January in 1991, where I met Rick Blackburn from Atlantic Records. They started the paperwork, put the deal together. In May of 91, I signed the contract when I went in the studio to cut Sticks and Stones. I had 3 #1 records in the top 5 off of it. What I will say, that as a young person that came up with not a whole lot, that really had to scrap just to have money to buy a beer on the weekend at some of the crappy places that I played, to all of a sudden have success and money and attention and people giving you things. I think people ought to take better care of their mental well-being. And I think you ought to be much more cautious with your money, because it's really hard to hold on to, and there's a whole lot of sharks out there trying to take advantage of people. I wish there was some kind of program that young artists could go to teach them the pitfalls and how to look out and protect their long-term future. It took me a long time to figure those things out.
Have you ever sat down with any of the younger artists?
The problem is nobody wants to hear it. Because you think you already know everything. Because if you're arrogant enough to be in this business when you're young, you think you know everything. And that's the truth of it. It's a really hard conversation to breach. I've always tried to wait till I'm asked the question before I give my opinion.
We're going to work on that. We have to talk really quick about your family, wife, kids, 7 dogs.
Yes, 7 dogs.
How are they?
They're all good. Oldest daughter's getting ready to go to college. She's going into nursing and maybe medical school at some point. She has big aspirations. So that's going to be a big adjustment in the Lawrence household. Kind of sad time. My youngest daughter's 16 now, and she actually starts just back to school tomorrow, which is 2 years away. The dogs are insane. We have 7 dogs. We have 3-year-old pair of Great Danes named Tango and Cash. Very appropriate.
Appropriate.
And the next one, I'll give you the size order, like the cell phone carriers commercial. So you've got a pair of Great Danes. You've got an English Bull that's 11. His name is Tank. Then we have a mini Australian Shepherd that's 4 or 5. Her name's Marley. And then we have a Brussels Griffon, which is probably the ugliest dog that I've ever owned. And it's the Brussels is. Did you ever see Jack Nicholson is As Good as It Gets?
Yes.
The little dog.
Yes.
This is the ugly cousin of that dog.
Gotcha.
And then we have a Pekingese and a Shih Tzu that were rescue dogs that are my babies that sleep in the bed with us.
Do they travel with you, any of them?
Tank still does from time to time. Yeah, he doesn't take the heat very well though.
All right. Well, we're going to come see you on tour.
Okay.
Will you come back and talk to us?
I would love to.
Love it.
Thank
For
you.
more on Tracy and all your other favorite artists, please visit popculture.com.